Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We've got a day two about to begin here for some Eastern Europe Division 1 action for the final tour as well for the whole year of the DPC. Before we get underway, Danog, the ever so important question, my friend. How are we doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm ready. I'm excited. We get to cast some more Eastern European Dota. How are you doing, my man? You looking good?
Looking good, feeling good. Got a haircut. Was it today?
I need to
today
get
or
one.
yesterday? I can't remember. Dude, days are flying by. I don't know, just playing too many games and then all of a sudden the next day and then we just rinse and repeat and go again. You definitely do need a new haircut, but that's okay. You know, it's possible. It's possible.
That's all I want. I just want passable. You know, as long as people aren't like pulling me up and saying, hey, you should get that done, then, you know, I just got to be ahead of the curve. So I got a couple of weeks left, I think.
Couple of weeks when you need a new haircut. I don't know, how does that work? When I feel like when I need a new haircut, I go, hey, I don't know about this, couple of weeks, but that's enough of haircut. We don't need no more haircut talk. That's okay. We can you're getting to the action, get into the thick of things. We do have another day where we have two best of three, so no 3 series day, which we're going on later in, of course, the tour as well. We're going to be kicking it off with the two teams that are undefeated so far on day 1. Of course, they had some really good results in HYDRA in one move.
Yeah, they did, absolutely. Just 2 2-0s, you know, first day, done and dusted, just like that. And that's exactly the way that you want to be starting off this one around. But unfortunately, today, well, for one of the teams, it's going to be pretty fortunate, right? You get to go for a 2-0 start, nice early momentum, but one of them, they'll be bringing back to the pack with a 1-1 score. You got to remember, for Eastern Europe as well, you got 3 spots there to be able to go for it. Most of the time, people say, well, you know, 9 Pandas, they've got that sewn up. Then you've also got Spirit that always seems to be right there in second place. But BO3, they've been looking a little bit shaky. So if, for example, One Move or HYDRA were able to take this second series, then you're giving yourself a really nice launching platform.
I mean, this is BO3 as well with Pure. It looks like off the back of Liquipedia, he's playing 3 now. So I know that was rumored before the major that was going to happen with Pure going to the 3, Nightfall going to the 1. It looks like that is the case. So who knows, maybe that shake-up for BO3 doesn't even work as well.
Remaining.
So like you just mentioned, that could potentially be a slot for one of these teams as we do get ourselves underway here. I mean, already what I see first phase Tinkerbell. And I mean, that's a lot of hate for Anchoride.
It is, and he's a really good Tinker player, so it's understandable. For me, I think the ban on the Doom is good. I think the hero is just still way too busted. Like, yeah, Vanguard got a little bit of a nerf, but you could still just disassemble it and get an Octarine later on, right? So it really doesn't matter all that much. So it's still going to be somewhat viable. The other thing as well is, you're mentioning, I know it's not them, but BO3, I just want to say a quick happy birthday to Nightfall from BO3. It is his birthday today. I think Seneco's as well from the Eastern European region, so hopefully for them they're not spending it playing officials today, but you know, I'm sure they're enjoying it in other ways. This is another one of the heroes that I was really expecting to be banned out. Beastmaster has such a high priority in my opinion, just because of how flexible it can be, right? Sure, the Aura bot style isn't going to be that much amazing anymore, but you can still go like down the Drums of Slum route now, considering it just happens automatically. It goes off of your summoned units as well. It just feels like a really solid pick, and it's a bit of a block pick too, but this is 2 pretty quick responses coming out from HYDRA, huh?
It is indeed. So this is also our first game's casting, I suppose, on the new letter patch. So it's going to be exciting to see some of the changes and if those still medic heroes are as common. I mean, already Beastmaster, the Alchemist, and Crystal Maiden. And now we've got a Terrorblade to add on top of that as well. With the recent patch, what were some of your thoughts with 7.33 seed? Did you feel like some heroes in particular were nerfed enough, or maybe some weren't buffed enough?
I mean, I think Duso probably still needs a little bit of a nerf. I think Doom absolutely still needs a nerf. I think it was brought back to the pack a little bit more, so it's not completely out of control anymore, but I think there still needs some tinkering there. No, not going to be any tinkering this game, though, with it being banned out. But I'm interested to see if either of these teams are going to go for Invoker, considering, like, what a huge buff that hero got, just with 1 point in Wex being incredibly viable, being able to get into the Tornado, things of that nature. Neither of these teams are massive Invoker players for their mid lane, though.
Yeah, it definitely feels like if that's going to be the route they want to go down, you're looking towards the later end of the draft, so We'll see the
10
flexibility from the
seconds
position
remaining.
twos if that's going to continue onwards. Already for one move and put a lot of
5
emphasis
seconds
on
remaining.
Nkushi's hero. Of course, you've got that TB into the Alchemist matchup, right? Like it's
pretty great.
you've got a really good the late game security with the Terrorblade, but the early game, like Alchemist can still come out on top on this matchup, but it's not like it is just purely
Dire
Terrorblade
team
favored.
bad.
It feels pretty good though, right? Like if you're going to go
It does, it
Radiance, then you're going to get it turned right back around on top of you. You've got something like a Beastmaster to be able to buff you up in terms of your right-click damage. Very high armor, so that's going to counter out Acid Spray, Unstable Concoction, just the pure right-clicks from the TB as well. So that's really where I'm
10
expecting to
seconds
see...
remaining.
I'm kind of surprised to see the Slark ban. I mean, I know that they can run the Alchemist
5
in the mid lane. It's something
remaining.
that HYDRA have done a little bit in the past, but I still don't necessarily see this Slark as being like an amazing TB counter.
If I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure Cloud played the Alchemist series as well, so even more recent of a game through that being flexed to. So, wonder if there's going to be another carry. I suppose, is there another hero that you can think of? Maybe that one move might be considering to help protect the Terrorblade, just in case the Alchemist does get flexed.
For bans, or wanting to pick
for
them up.
bans.
I mean, I feel like the Pugna ban does a fair bit as well, right? You just think of how survivable this Alchemist would be. You're able to instantly deal with the TB illusions that aren't like, you know, Naga or PL1s that you could just refresh just like that. So I feel like they've done themselves a little bit of a disservice with getting rid of that one. But I think they still need something that's just going to... not even just as an answer to the TB, but they need something that's going to be able to stand in front of these towers and prevent stuff from being taken. I think Underlord ban is going to be pretty important here for them to go through for one move to protect them, because it's a
Radiant
really good
team
response
ban.
to the TB. Also just standing in front of a Beastmaster push, right? Underlord just drops it down. What can you do?
I really wonder how auras are going to feel with that recent
10
change as well.
seconds
I
remaining.
don't have enough as a sample size to get a read if they were
5
nerfed
seconds
enough.
remaining.
I mean, at least from the games I've seen so far in DPC, it seems like everyone is still going down the aura route. Maybe it's just a bit too early to tell.
And even things like neutral items, you know, they're basically all got buffed with the exception of like Spell Prism and I think something else. So I'm interested to see what teams are going to do. I think, God, what's it called? Spark of Courage got a huge buff. 18 damage at 7 minutes, potentially, is enormous. Yeah. So if you're above 50% HP, you
10
get 18
seconds
damage now.
remaining.
If you're below, you get, I want to say, 7 armor. But just imagine picking that up
5
on, like,
seconds
Dusa.
remaining.
You're always going to be more than 50% HP because it's your mana that goes away. So 18 damage at 7 minutes seems pretty enormous to me.
Dire team pick.
Do you know if it gets stats as well?
No.
I don't know. No,
It's just that.
just those after.
I
okay.
think. That's just off the top of my head.
There's too many changes, especially with the neutral items as well. I have them up, and yeah, pretty much at least good
It does not give
75% of them.
stats. Okay.
Radiant
Doesn't?
team
Okay, there you
pick.
go. 15th from HYDRA, so it's going to be the techies. Of course, that is a Eastern Europe staple. Really was the first region, even back to the old techies as well, was the first region that was able to play this hero and actually have a lot of success on it.
You know something else that I've just noticed?
10
We've got
seconds
Dream
remaining.
going back to being referred as Kami. You know, you and me are familiar
5
from the
seconds
Southeast Asian
remaining.
region of Kami-sama, aka In Your Dream. Basically saying he's like the god of Dota. So Dream clearly feeling it. This patch, maybe this is the one for him.
Radiant team
I've always been a
pick.
big Dream fan as well.
Ember Spirit.
Had the opportunity to be able to watch him through those previous teams of his as well, so it's going to be exciting if he can have that
All the way
run
back
like
to
he had on
Gambit, right?
Gambit. Yeah, that was the one where they had a pretty
Dire
good showing
team
at some of the minors and some of the
Skywrath
LAN events as well with the Star Ladder. But one move. All right, here we go. Second phase, Ember Sky. So you got a nice, pretty combo there. Chains to be able to set up for a lot of the Sky damage, even the Beastmaster as well.
This is a really aggressive draft that they've got on one move, and it really fits their
10
style to
seconds
perfection, right?
remaining.
Like, they are just going to be constantly putting you under pressure. Ember, of
5
course, pretty
seconds
good
remaining.
answer to the Crystal Maiden in the early stages, right? Like, when you've got the Slight maxed out, when you've got those couple of early value items in the Phase Boots and the Orb of Corrosion, and you're starting to make your way towards Maelstrom and the BKB, there's not really all that much a CM can do, and plenty of setup, like you mentioned, for the Skywrath with the Roar, with the Chains. It just feels incredibly solid, and we know from you and I, when he was back on Hellraiser's Guild Gear, they like to play aggressive. Whatever Guild Gear team there is, he's like, we're just going to be running at them, and you know, if they're dead for 30 seconds, then that's as good as a 30-second stun. So we don't even need to prioritize stuns on our team. We're just going to run them over.
And they definitely have a lineup to do that. Like Ember Sky, you've got the Beastmaster to enable you with your vision, and you've got the late game security as well with the Terrorblade and the Beast Auras to be able to buff him up. So we'll see what the answer is going to be from HYDRA. Do you look to reveal the Alchemist? Well, they're going to keep it flexed for the moment. Of course, the Monkey, there's a potential for him to go mid to lane versus the Amber Spirit if that's what they want to do. I mean, he's able to play versus the Beastmaster as well in the safe lane, so...
It's something that Warwick has done a fair amount, actually, playing the Monkey King in the mid lane, and I think Monkey against Ember is an amazing matchup. So this is a really good pick overall, right? Like you said, it keeps the flex there, because Alc mid still isn't horrible in this one. It also potentially is a little bit more survivable when you consider, like, what if Skywrath makes a rotation, what if you look to get kills off that. If you've got your level 6, you're probably going to be fine, and just off the back of, like, Acid Spray, the lane's going to shove in anyway, so most of the time you're going to be pretty safe.
I want how, because we don't see one move's position 5 just yet, but if for HYDRA they're going to run like potentially Alchemist Terrorblade +1, how do we think that lane's going to go for HYDRA? Because it sounds like you have a lot of nuke potential with like a concoction to set up for the blast off.
Yeah, so that's the issue that I'm having right now. They don't really have a lot of save on HYDRA for that sort of thing. Like, it's not like you've got a Rubik that can push you back. It's not like you've got a Snapfire. It's not like you've got a saving style support like a Shadow Demon or an Abaddon. So might be a little bit difficult. Also, just something that I've noticed with Cloud, now that Broodmother really isn't in the meta anymore, you get rid of Beastmaster and Doom, and that's like a big part of his hero pool gone. Basically, like, his third preference is the DK. And I feel like that's a really good way to have this last pick still available, because like if they ban out, for example, an Undying now, then that's going to give me an indication that, hey, maybe they're just going to want to like DK it up and then look to have that as your push, because right now HYDRA are completely lacking in any kind of aggressive tower push potential. So I think something like a DK, if they could somehow be able to wrangle it into their draft, could be pretty solid still.
10 seconds remaining.
If this is the
5
Cloud
seconds
Alchemist
remaining.
and they're looking for their carry, because you like the Monkey being mid, you've already mentioned you need someone to be able to take objectives. You probably need a way to scale versus the Terrorblade as well. Is there any carries that come to mind?
I mean, PL's still in the pool, isn't it? But again, it's PL against a Beastmaster, so they've kind of like covered their bases, right? Like the Beastmaster, if he gets the Ags, doesn't really care about the PL at all, even though PL is probably one of the best answers to the Terrorblade, just because you've got so many illusions and TB is full single target damage almost exclusively.
Well, at least luckily for HYDRA, they do have the ultra last pick, so they're going to be able to continue to hide their draft and one move.
10 seconds
Forced to
remaining.
reveal what's going on. I mean, we are looking for that secondary support. Of course, expecting it to be the Pantheon hero. We got the Lich. Right.
Not horrible, right? It's a little bit of a save. Again, it's not aggressive, but you are going up against a decent amount of physical damage. It also is going to do an okay job of protecting towers if they do go down that route with, like, let's say a DK once again. So I don't hate it.
I think HYDRA might need to consider like a Nullify builder now, going up against the Lich, and then the potential Beastmaster auras as well. Usually just the Lich is enough of a reason to go for a Nullifier.
It does feel quite solid. I think Monkey King is capable of going into it.
That is true. That is true. If he does have a really rough game, could come out a little bit later on. And they're going to go the Timber route for HYDRA. So, I mean, you got your Cloud hero now. It looked like even one move was expecting them to try and flex the Alchemist to the 3. That's not going to be the case. They'll go for the Timber. It's looking like a pretty good Timber game overall. I mean, eventually you'll have the Silver's Edge from Munkushi, which could act as a bit of an issue for the Timber, but really just their only burst is Mystic Flare. So overall, it seems like a pretty goddamn free Timber game.
It's a pretty good Timber game. Again, like, you will have, most likely, I think, still going into like a Drums of Slom style Beastmaster eventually, so that is going to deal with the Timber Saw a little bit. You've also got the Axes, which, you know, it's relatively capable of dealing with it. If you get an early Aghanim Shard from the Lich as well, which is very possible, then you can look to set up for some kills just off the back of a Chain Frost, and you know, you're going to have this roaming trio most of the time, right? Ankrad, Gilgear, Pantomime, they're going to be looking to pick up Cloud past that 20 or so minute mark.
Do we like the kind of wild card that HYDRA pulled out with the last pick going down this Timbersaw route? Do we feel like it's enough to be able to take game one?
I don't hate it. I mean, it is a lot of... I think their lanes are set up pretty well, but the issue that I have is that they don't have the greatest pushing potential. Like, a Timbersaw can do it, but we've seen a lot more Timbersaws these days not go into the reactive armor style build and a lot more just into that full-on burst damage. I guess most of the time that has been from mid as opposed to the off lane, so I'm not sure exactly what build he's going to look to go down for, but something needs to happen if they're looking to take some of these early towers.
Yes, that it does indeed. Of course, before we get underway, a big thank you to EGB. We'll see how this one is shaping up between One Move and HYDRA with the odds between each other. But I mean, it's where would you overall, like, heading in before we get to take a look at the odds, like before we moved into this series, what were you expecting out of the two teams overall?
I was probably expecting One Move to just be a little bit more favored overall, just because of, you know, they looked pretty solid all throughout the previous tour. HYDRA barely stuck on into Division 1. But, I mean, you've got Dream renaming himself to Kami. He's feeling himself, so, you know, who knows? It could really go either way.
Yeah, that it could. Okay, so let's take a look at the EGB odds before we do get ourselves underway into this game one. We do have a fight that's going to break out pretty shortly here. It actually look like Kami is the one that's leading the charge. So HYDRA, an aggressive move into One Move's jungle. They won't run into anyone, however.
I'm interested to see where a lot of these wards are being dropped down as well, because that is one thing that has really changed that we didn't mention about this patch, is that sentry wards got that increased radius, an extra 100 radius, I think. So when you think about it, it's actually 200 diameter, circumference, whatever you want to call it, like twice as wide, basically, is what the actual change is, because it goes to the left and the right.
Wait. Pandaman and Gilgi just re-smoked.
Oh,
okay.
He wants to get to bottom a little quicker, but again, like, you could just try lane up top and then take the twin gate down towards the bottom side. Looks like he's going to need to TP instead, though.
They were setting up mid, I believe, Happy on the way to top pass and pop the smoke. It looked like they were maybe trying to offset this bad matchup that Ankrad's going to have versus Warwick.
And you know it's going to be a pretty horrible one. I mean, look at Ankrad. Like, Ankrad just chose to right-click Warwick a little bit more when he didn't have the Jingu Mastery available, and he actually foregone, didn't hit a creep in the time that he tried to get a little bit more harass in onto this Monkey King. So I'm interested to see what sort of avenue he's looking to go down here, because he's already missed a few creeps in this mid lane. Top though, I mean, it's a pretty solid one with an Alchemist and a CM. Then again, it does kind of go back the other way too, with the Beastmaster and the Skywrath feeling pretty strong.
I'm trying to think of... Would you say HYDRA maybe has a little bit stronger of a lane? I mean, Alchemist is just such a dumb laner now with the changes, and Crystal Maiden's always been known as one of the better laning supports.
I mean, it depends who gets caught out, right? Like, CM has capabilities to be able to nuke down a lot of these, the Beastmaster boars if he does look to go down that sort of route, but if you get slowed down a little bit, then CM can still be kind of squishy.
Losing a lot of trouble, still doesn't have that second level to work with to find the distance for the blast off, but reduction of the trees, he'll still find some vision though for the last right click as Pantomime finds our first blood. Cloud still continuing to put the pressure onto Munkushi, but doesn't have all the spells in his arsenal to look to utilize. So Munkushi, there's a bit of a window to beat back onto the Timber.
Goes down into the... What are we calling that? The bait lake? Like the one that you think you're going to be able to get away from, but you never actually can? What is the Grid doing over there?
I like
That's what
bait
I wanna
lake. I mean, the first thing I thought it was a pit of death, but... Bait lake, that, I like that. That works too.
It's pretty fitting.
Yes, it is indeed. I just multiple times just see someone. It feels like, you know, maybe after all the games we've had now on the new patch, people would be a bit more familiar with it.
Apparently not. I mean, it is still super new, right? There's still a lot of stuff that people don't know. I was watching Tsunami stream a little bit earlier, and he was like, man, if you asked me what the don't even know what it's called, like the Martyr's Cloak or whatever does, I would have no idea. I would not be able to tell you. The tier 4 item that redirects all the damage towards you, or like 20% of the damage. And it's like it looks like a pink pipe when it's active as well, so, you know, just more stuff to confuse us.
Does it? I don't even, I swear I've looked at it and I've tried, I thought I used it and didn't notice no.
Exactly.
I swear I did, but apparently not. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. As we do get to take a look at the odds. It is so slightly favoring one move at the moment, thanks to EGB, but of course it is very early telling. I like this though from Warwick. I mean, an aggressive glyph used mid lane to help put the pressure onto Ankride deep under the tower.
I mean, sure, even just using the Boundless Strike on top of the creep wave to make sure that he's
top lane.
He's up as well. Yeah, Afterlife, he's really stuck in place for quite some time. They're not going to get the kill though is kind of significant because you've got 2 points now into the Frostbite, no points in the Arcane Aura, which means that, well, unless they can make a turnaround happen. Maybe not.
It's gonna be a 1-for-1 though. And Afterlife Footy, he's only got 1 point in the board, but still acts as a backup shortly. We're gonna lose that extra little bit of damage with the creeps, which probably would have been required if he was ever going to get that kill. Meanwhile, bottom lane as well, action continues as Lil unable to find the duration for that blast off damage. A little bit too much with this Terrorblade Metamorphosis activated. Now Giga, he's gonna even rotate down to bottom as well, so the Scythe Mage looking to get active early on to shut down Cloud. It's a pretty tanky Timbersaw. 2 points up with the reactive armor. He's got that Ring of Health also to buff him up a little bit.
He should feel pretty immortal though once he gets this raindrops that he's got coming through. They're moving in onto Ankride once again. Gonna be able to dodge out that Sticky Bomb though. Likely be going down here. I mean, a tough lane is just becoming harder and harder because of all of this aggressive pressure that HYDRA's putting on.
Yeah, he definitely started the lane pretty well. We'll take a look at the CS, but it's just now we're getting to the stage where everything's going to start to dissolve down, and you're not only going to be laning into a Monkey King. There's potential supports that will be rotating as well.
So the thing that gives me an indication of like how practiced or how, I'm sorry, Rara might be going down here, unless that maximum duration out from the concoction. It's going to be enough for them to secure the kill though.
It doesn't look like it. Kami, he's got the Soul Ring to look to work, but he doesn't have the greatest health ball though. So Afterlife's going to be able to continue to chase him down. It's just the Beastmaster though.
Remember they decreased the mana cost on the axes as well, so they are just so much more spammable. What is it now? 50 mana cost instead of 65, I want to say? Pretty significant. So what I was saying before is, oh, never mind, more action coming in. I mean, it's Eastern Europe, what can we expect? I mean, this is, again, how both teams like to play. They play aggressive Dota. Unluckily, though, for the Ember Spirit, it's going to be an Arcane Rune down bottom, so he's not going to be able to pick that one up. I want to see who's ready to make the move at, like, 6.5 minutes towards those Wisdom Runes, because they are so important right now. There really isn't an excuse for the supports to not be level 6 by around the 10 or so minute mark, whereas previously, I saw games go, 15 minutes with a support still level 5. It shouldn't be happening anymore, and that's why Warwick is happy to make this rotation, because not only could you get the kill, you might be able to just snag that rune away as well. Maybe Durara's going to hang around to steal it away. Looks like they might be making a move up towards top, but nice positioning of the boar just to make sure that they were going in onto him, but he doesn't care. He's looking to go for the dive anyway.
Boundless is back up because the Arcane. Oh, he's gonna...
They'll get the rune.
It's alright. It's securing the Wisdom Room. That's exactly what they're... Well, hang on. That's a lot of heroes for move as well.
It's very important, man. I'm telling you.
And without a doubt, and Gilgear, along with the boys, are able to recognize this. So 3v3. Does look like the Wisdom Room is going to be clean, though, from Happy. And meanwhile, Lil was even able to get HYDRA's own Wisdom Room as well. I mean, really the big winner. Ankrite's loving life. He gets a free couple of waves mid. He's super happy with the Monkey King leaving.
Yeah. Should be right. I mean, he's level 6 now. He should be fine. I mean, that's the big thing, right? You got to give up something to get something, but for the HYDRA draft, I feel like the supports having that level 6 available is incredibly important, right? It is a big portion of their damage that they're going to be able to output. They've set themselves up for really strong lanes, but unless you're able to convert that and win a few of these early skirmishes, which, you know, you might be able to do so off the back of having your
Radiant
ultimates when
are
the enemy
scanning.
supports just don't, that's going to be what opens up the potential to take some of these early towers, considering they don't exactly have the strongest heroes to be able to do so. And this is another one of those changes as well, right? Actually dropping the Wukogs there to be able to protect the rune, but it's like Ankrad, he's able to just move on towards the top side. Didn't even need it.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Yeah, the 30% XP bonus for stacking is enormous right now. So, I mean, Lil, we know how much damage techies can do early on, and if you can get him up to level 7, level 8 pretty early, which looks like he's on track to be able to do so, giving him a good game to be able to start up for.
What is going on? HYDRA is running down members. Lil's in a little bit of trouble at the moment. Ankrad doesn't have the greatest mana pool, nor the health pool, surely. 3 points up in the frostbite. Oh my, 2.5 seconds stun. Not that he was ready for it at all on Ankrad.
The power of the Wisdom Runes, man, and then Lil, look what he's gonna do. Just another stack for him. He's gonna get so much off the back of this, and he's got, like, amazing heroes to be able to take it. You know, you might give it to the Timber Saw underneath the smoke. You might give it to an Alchemist, who knows?
Tower
Really,
is under attack.
the sky's the limit.
Look, I'm just, we might have some time to go across the map. Look at Radiant's triangle. There's like
Radiant's
a triple the
bottom
hard,
tower
maybe a
is
quad
under
of the
attack.
ancients, even the left ancients near the wisdom room. I think there's a triple ancient stack there as well. So we spoke a lot about HYDRA, but even one move
Yeah,
have put
Timber's
a lot
taken
of
it, by the
emphasis
way.
on stacking.
Yeah, he's using the smoke here to be able to just
Dire's
claim it
middle
away.
tower is under attack.
Nice. Early stacks. I mean, Lil's even helping him out to do it because he's like, you know what? It's fine that I don't necessarily get the gold from it. Bring him up from level 5 to level 7 already, just off the back of all of these stacks that he's done. This is pre-10 minutes, so it shows how important it is to be able to
Dire's
set
top
yourself
tower
up
is under
early
attack.
on to be able to have this in a really good place. And even just what cores you pick. You know, if you have someone that's not capable of taking a ton of stacks, then that's going to put you in a really rough spot. Look at the level difference between the supports especially.
And it might come into play for this fight potentially. Or again, it's more of a defensive use of the Wukongs. So no one's really going to be held into position. He doesn't have the greatest health pool, so had to use that one as a bit of a deterrent to push one move back.
Radiant's bottom tower
Are they
is
going to
under
go on this?
attack.
Ankrad, not going to be enough
Kinda
bursts.
low. I mean, you could be level 7 or whatever, but if you don't have, you know, your ultimates and you don't have any HP, then, you know, the side of one move is able to get a lot of stuff done. I love the fact that Cloud just immediately went back towards putting a lot of
Radiant's
pressure in
bottom
onto that
tower is
tower.
under attack.
Not really worried about hero damage at this stage. Just wants to have the lowest cooldown, highest damage ability in that Timber Chain available to be able to shove out the lane super quickly. So while Mokushi might want to just be playing down towards the bottom side and farming up a lot of those bottom jungle camps, he's forced to come back to this lane because they really don't have anyone that's great at being able to defend towers.
Really, the big thing is the fact that he is 200 gold away from Radiance. This is a Phase Boots Soul Ring. Alchemist as well. Kind of interesting when Phase
Dire's
Boots,
middle
actually. I'm
tower
trying
is under
to
attack.
see the reasoning
Radiant's
behind
bottom
it.
tower is under attack.
Because I've just seen a lot of Alchemists go down the treads route. Is there anything you can see?
They got a lot of slows, I guess, through the Lich, through the Boar, through the Concussive Shot, through the Reflection. It's a decent amount
Radiant
of
are
stuff that
scanning.
he's going to need to deal with.
Really nice read from one move. The position from Afterlife and with the scan as well. They're well aware that HYDRA are going to consider about making this attempt. And this is pretty deep. Under towards the tier 2 tower. They're able to
very
deal with
deep.
some of the mines, but not all of them. So in the end,
Radiant's bottom
HYDRA,
tower is under attack.
they've got Kami here, but the Radiance has been delivered as well. So this is an Alchemist that is ready to fight and join with the team. And as a result, HYDRA, they don't really have the numbers just at the moment though. Ankrad was able to deal with the supporting cast towards the right side. It looks like still dealing with the cause is a different beast at that is Kami, who's easily able to chase down the Lich under their own jungle.
Radiant's top tower
And they're all
is
doing
under
this
attack.
underneath the Watcher that's still active. I know I'm going to sound like a Tsunami shill, but it's something that he was talking about on his stream just before. It kind of the color of the watches is a little bit deceptive, right? It's not red equals enemy. It's red equals dire, blue equals radiant. So maybe they're expecting it to look a friendly color, and so they don't need to take it away. I'm not quite sure, but Hydra have just multiple heroes have walked past it without anything.
Well, at least, yeah, they're not going to walk past Afterlife though. Warwick with the, I believe, use of the Invis room was able to connect with Kami, who off to a great start. I mean, the one big thing though is the fact that Munkushi is free farming on the Terrorblade, and that is really the big thing for one move. The fact that his net worth is high as what it is a really big sign, because Skadi is really that ultimate thing that you're looking for versus the Alchemist matchup.
It is, but I think it's good that he has farm, but not only does the Alchemist have more farm, but also the Timbersaw has more farm, which is the bigger issue for mine. Like, Timber is going to be the one that just blows you up in a lot of the encounters. Why they went for it as the last overall pick. It is that TB counter that they were wanting, and if he can get into that Lotus pretty soon, and I think he's getting close towards it, then it's really just going to serve them in really good stead, because then what do you do? How are you supposed to counter this? You're going to be able to get rid of the reflection either on yourself or onto the Alchemist with his Radiance. You're going to be able to ignore stuff like the silence coming through from the Ancient Seal. Feels like be careful, Anchorite, with his positioning. Look at this, it's 14 minutes.
They're already set up.
That wisdom rune, yeah.
How are you going to run up to a higher gun with mines and potential Wukongs that's at the ready as well?
You're not.
Maybe, yeah, maybe you're hoping for your own Wisdom Rune snipe, but no one from one move is even in a position to be able to go for that. So when we take a look at the supports, Gilgit along with Pentman, they're both level 6.
At least they are level 6, though. I mean, that is a very, very important thing, because now they've at least got a little bit of that turnaround damage available. They've got Burst, you know, Raw plus the Mystic Flare, Chains plus Mystic Flare, decent Chain Frost with all those slows that I was mentioning before. They can come out on the winning end of a team fight, and that's why Hydra had to make such a heavy rotation to be able to steal that one away so that they can keep this snowball going. I don't mind this, though. Just using the illusions to be able to steal away a little bit of that farm from the enemy jungle. Really wouldn't have even... I mean, he's cutting the wave now, which is also just as important, forcing a defensive movement perhaps from Hydra, instead of just allowing them to keep playing on the aggressive front.
Kami top lane's looking to try and reveal the blink. Got that concoction shot up. He's actually going to try and target down with the Ember Spirit. They need a little bit of extra control, and Happy will be able to pogo on forward to hold him down, and now they're going to be able to chase down Gilgear as well. As Hydra, they've just had all the answers to the early game of one move, a 7,000 net worth lead at 15 minutes in.
Liked that as well from the Alchemist. An optimistic blink forward, but he was saying, you know what, maybe someone's going to be hanging around. Nice chop down there. Is it going to be enough though? Boundless perhaps into the Wukongs? Looks like it is. Good little micro coming out there from Munkushi, making sure that there was no way for all of his TB illusions and the hero itself to be stunned. Little things like that being the difference there.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a huge solo kill, right, man? We're saying that this Terrorblade, if they're going to win the game, it's off the back of TB pretty much at this stage now. Like, he needs to be able to find as much farm as he possibly can. As, well, you know, the kill onto a support who might not have
Is it a support? He's level 10.
Really tanky, dude. Double bracer. 1,400 health they have to go through, and that just gave plenty of time for the Hydra boys to be able to rotate as well. It's Clyde and Kami in combination together. They want to try and chase down Munkushi at the moment. They're going to have to go through the Sunder, though, which is something they need to keep in the back of their mind. As Kami is going to be able to leap on over the top. Will they have the burst with Cloud nearby? You bet they will. It's Hydra. Oh, but that is the big kill. We were just mentioning Munkushi really is that X factor now for one move to find their way back into the game. And now with him down for 30 seconds, that's going to make it very difficult for him to hit his timings.
They knew that he didn't want to take that fight. They knew that he used the meta to be able to kill the Monkey King down bottom previously, so they were happy to just keep running at him, knowing that he was just going to be completely useless for a bit.
Radiant are scanning.
I can't even say that they're like starting to claw it back, right? They haven't taken either of, in my opinion, the most important towers of the game. The tier 1 towers on the side lanes are so vital. It's what has allowed Hydra to set up so aggressively around these wisdom runes. And look at what it means in terms of the odds, right? It was looking pretty much dead even at the very start of this game, but right now they take That's sort of a miracle for one move to be able to come back into this one.
Yeah, when I saw the odds,
Red's a while away
This'll come in
from
handy.
the BKB as well. Like, is there even anything coming up shortly? I don't really think so, outside of maybe of lads on the Beastmaster, but I'm not sure if that's going to be enough.
I don't think so either. You just... again, it probably is even at the stage where Scardy's not even going to be enough for the Terrorblade as well. Like, you're in this position now for HYDRA where you should be able to, at least for the first or second fight, be able to combat
I am mighty.
the TB Scardy.
Look at that win prod as well. 14%, not what you want to see if you're a one-move fan.
It's a cool graph. No, definitely not what
I
you...
love the, I love at the top as well, the power rune indicator on the Monkey King. He's electrified.
What's he got queued up now? It's going to be the BKB for War, so... 3-1-4 is pretty low in net worth, but definitely felt like he's done his job so far this game, and you know it's going to be up to the Alchemist now, and then Timber as well, who he's got the Scepter queued up on Cloud, so... So see, I'm still...
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
This item's weird, man.
Dire's top
I
tower
don't
is
know.
under attack.
I don't know about the Scepter. The fact you can dispel it, it
Dire's
is
structures
kind
are
of
fortified.
a bit of an issue for me.
Radiant's
Do they have any
bottom
dispellers
tower
though
is
on
under
one move?
attack.
I don't see any.
Dire's top tower is under
I guess
attack.
it doesn't matter this game then. Perfect.
Maybe if someone wants to go into a Yules, but I mean, who wants to go into a Yules on this lineup?
Looking at their first set of items as well for the supports. They're just hoping. I guess Sky's got a little bit. You know, he's got the Parvis, he's got the Medallion going to the Solar Crest as well. And still, this is also a little bit of time that they're able to continue to
Radiant's
find their
bottom
farm.
tower is under
See,
attack.
Minkushi is getting closer and closer towards Ascari, getting some of their lanes shoved out as well. I mean, they did give up a free T2 tower bottom, and they didn't really give an objective to exchange as well, but at least it is time that they're getting closer towards these next set of items for one move.
I mean, just getting levels and getting, you know, 300 more gold on some of these heroes is going to be basically as important, right? Like, they know that they can't contest this right now. They know that they've hit all their important timings on HYDRA. I was thinking that maybe they were going to consider some sort of smoke attempt there with the trio, but maybe just feeling that that bottom lane was a little bit too pushed in, it would have been a bit too obvious. I mean, even mid's pushed, right? The fact that no one's responding to
Radiant's
this
middle tower
makes you
is
feel a
under
little bit
attack.
sus, and, well, they might be able to just make a response to this here on the bottom side as well. Although Happy, he's holding the gem. If he gets picked off, that'd be pretty significant, just being able to turn that one around, but not if Alk's around.
Definitely not if Alchemist is around. Kami's going to be able to jump up and protect his support and get a kill along with it. Again, it's just a support, which is really not the worst thing at all for one move to be able to lose. You got Minkushi freely farming towards a triangle. He's even pushing out that top wave with some illusions. You've got Afterlife as well up at the very northern jungle area. We've got some new jungles to name as well, Dan. I'm going to have to do that over this this final tour.
Well, it's at the very top, the buff that you get is like the
Dire's
Mighty
top
Mines,
tower
and it's
has
the
fallen.
Wishing Well down at the bottom
Radiant
for
are
the
scanning.
big rows.
This'll
So
come in
maybe
handy.
it's just that. I don't know what we were going to call the few ones around the outposts at the very top and the very bottom, but we can be creative. We can think up something. The bonus here for one move, as I mean, again, you got to give something to get something. The fact that they're going to walk over here on Guild here, they're going to get the Wisdom Rune. The fact that it hasn't been taken and they weren't sleep prior means they're doing something. It's just a question of, are they going to be able to respond to it? I don't think so. I think one move are just like, all right, they're going to get Roshan. It is what it is. Maybe we get a little bit closer towards that next item, because Ember is, what, at least the recipe away from being able to get the BKB?
You've almost got Pike as well on Terrorblade, so I mean, let's see. For one move, we're speaking a lot about their items and like potentially Terrorblade as an ultra late game threat, but how can they even get towards that stage in these upcoming fights? Like, how do the fights need to work for one move to be able to at least edge out even just a trade?
I think you just need to take a fight that HYDRA feel overconfident and go a little bit too deep, you know, and maybe having the Aegis is going to be that indicator. You know, probably aren't going to be going on to the Alchemist, but again, I mentioned the CM before. She was not out of position, but in a risky position, you know, where maybe she could have got picked off. So killing her, getting the gem back, killing the slightly easier to take down heroes. Even the Monkey King, honestly, for all the dominance that he's had, he's basically sitting even in net worth or behind the Ember Spirit, who he absolutely crushed in lane. So I think it's just setting yourself up for these turnarounds once you've got those super vital for team fighting items like the BKB on the Ember Spirit, like the Skadi on the TB.
Okay.
And I mean, they've got the Helm of the Overlord as well on the Beastmaster. He probably won't have the Blink Dagger by the time they really want to make use of this this Aegis to fully push out these lanes. I almost wonder if they're just going to look to group up around this top tier 2 tower to start pushing it in, because I mean, you've got an AC, you've got a BKB, you've got Radiance, you've got Blink Dagger, you've got an Aegis on this Alchemist. Might just be waiting for his level 18.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
It's not going to take him too long to get towards that though for Kami. Game he has had so far to be able to kick off their second series for HYDRA.
Radiant's top tower
The
is
name
under
change is
attack.
justified, you know. It's not a dream anymore. He's back to Kami. Kami-sama, the god, whatever you want to call it.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
There are very
Radiant's
few
top tower
times
is under
where a
attack.
name change actually works out.
For the player or for us? Because we hate it. You know, it's just more stuff to be able to remember, essentially.
Oh, we got him. Just before the TP was able to go through from Afterlife, Lil was there. And now they're going to be able to get the Helm of the Overlord as well. Warg, he spent like 30 seconds prior trying to kill the Ancient Black Dragon. Then as soon as he was close to getting it, we saw the resummon. So now at least he's going to be able to get this one.
A big ogre as well. So he's going down. They also took away the enemy Tormentor, so they're not going to have that one available. Ankrad has to be a little careful here. What level's happy? I mean, if he gets towards that level 15, he's going to have the increased range on the Frostbite, which is
Dire's
huge
bottom
against
tower
this
is under attack.
this Ember Spirit, especially when he does have the BKB available now, but again, you can't be wasting it for something like a Frostbite. It's what you
Radiant's
need to be
middle tower
aggressively
is
moving
under
into
attack.
fights and hopefully getting kills as opposed to just running away. I have to wonder, like, the neutral item decision as well on the Terrorblade. He's holding onto a Gossamer
Radiant's
Cape right
middle
now, which
tower
isn't...
has fallen.
It's not that great of an item, to
Dire's
be honest.
bottom
Like, it gives you
tower is
20
under
movement
attack.
speed, and it lets you completely dodge attack and attack every, I think it's 4 seconds now. But Alf hits you a ton. Timbersaw, he's not right-clicking you. And Monkey King, with his Boundless, it has True Strike, so it actually ignores the Gossamer Cape. So it doesn't really give too much value for him. No stats as well for a TB, and we know that that's really what a TB needs. They're going to go for a full-on wraparound
Radiant's
here.
top barracks are
Try
under
and make
attack.
use of this BKB. A great positioning.
Really nicely done from Lil. Ankrad is able to disrupt the backline.
Really
Whereas
want that
considering
CM.
about trying to charge up Blue Hong's command as well to be able to protect him, Ankrad will be able to find the first casualty throughout the team fight. Now Mukushi, he can look to move on over as well, but the Chemical Rage is still on cooldown off the back of the respawn. This could be the fight that one move have been waiting for. Mukushi's been forced to reposition back to the safety of the Hydra, but now can turn it around. The Force Staff gets him out of range of the Mystic Flare, but it's not going to matter as now Lil, he jumped into his own grave as well as one move, finally. It's been all Hydra's game so far, 25 minutes through, but all they needed was one fight, and now this Terrorblade is online.
Yeah, and it's because they had those items, right? Ember Spirit was able to go in onto the front lines, take away the biggest issue for him, which was that Crystal Maiden. Take the... Oh, I think Monkey King actually was able to yoink the gem, so they didn't lose it, but the fact that they're able to get that 3-for-1 trade is just so vital, right? And it was around one of those key objectives that they knew that they wanted to be pushing for, because they had the Aegis, they had all these early timings, they had the net worth lead, but you know, one move showing why they finished, I want to say, I think they were 5th in the last DPC, but they were competitive all throughout, so this is really going to turn into a very interesting mid to late game, I think. You know, if a couple more fights go that way, it really does start to swing a little bit more back in one move's favor.
Yeah, because then we start to have the storyline, right, of, well, where's this Monkey King's net worth? Like, hang on, what's going on? He beat the Ember mid lane, and Warwick just hasn't been able to keep up with everyone else, even though he's only got one death. So I do at least like his itemization. You know, with the Maelstrom is going to be a nice way to be able to at least increase his farm. Kind of deals with TB illusions a little bit, but then really the big one is the Nullify. Like that's the one I'm looking out for.
And it isn't one of these games where you like go super greedy, you're going to wait to get the Sacred Relic first. I mean, the Helm of Iron Will is pretty valued in this game. You know, you're going up against all the Beastmaster, the Helm of the Overlord creep, you're going up against an Ember Spirit, you're going up against a Terrorblade, so even just that tiny little change to an additional bit of armor plus the AC armor might make you a little bit more survivable in these fights. Plus, I mean, we haven't even talked about Wukongs. Just being able to lay that one down. Maybe that's how they're going to take these next few fights around the high ground, right? Maybe they're going to want to lay down the Wukong so it's so much harder for one move to even fight into it, and maybe they get a lane of racks for free.
Yep.
Dire's middle tower.
Off the back of that one fight, looks like probability just doubled for one move, so back up into a decent position, but still, of course, this is an Alchemist that has a 5,000 lead over the second person. They even got the Wisdom Room as well, so he's now level 20 from Kami with an Abyssal Blade completed, so they are ready to go on HYDRA.
They are, and I think they really want to make sure that one move don't get into that next set of items. They've already got the Skadi on the Terrorblade, Anchored. He's close to finishing up the Shiva's Guard as well, so that's going to provide a little bit more of that regen reduction, but look at this, they're going to make the jump. It's just onto a Beastmaster, though he's got the buyback, so the fact that they're able to get away with just one hero dying is pretty significant.
The lanes aren't in the greatest position as well. Oh no, man, that's a Hawk mid lane. Sorry, I thought that was some creep. So it does look like I at least have a wave that's going to be able to go through the backdoor protection. So Kami up the top. Frost Shield will make it a bit of a nuisance. Chemical Rage is out as well, so Kami probably going to have to think twice.
You need to just shove out this mid lane as well. It's the only thing that's stopping the backdoor protection from kicking in once again. Gushi looks like he's finally got the note to be able to deal with it because, yeah, Anchoret did a really good job just pushing in that top lane, making sure that that wasn't going to be a factor anymore. And again, the power of the Lich, right? That's why the all chat's coming through. I'm assuming he's saying that they thought the barracks was dead, but not the case anymore with that Frost Shield. Gonna maybe set up for the Roshan to go to his summer home on the bottom side.
Unluck. Minutes, and that is every second, every minute. Blade's getting closer and closer. He's got a small crit. Crystal is completed. He's working on the Daedalus as well. Like, how do HYDRA address the Terrorblade, which is a big issue now?
It's going to be around the Timbersaw, right? It's always been around Timbersaw. Maybe it's going to be just one of these instances of, you know what? We can't 100-0 the TB. They're going to have saves. They've got the Parvis, they've got even Forstaff on one of their heroes. They just need to try and take out Skywrath first, in my opinion.
Pretty good positioning on the backline. I really like that move from one we don't see too often from running all the way around, but the Monkey King's power being up to perch on the trees was able to scout that out.
I was just waiting for Lil to go for that all or nothing dive in onto the high ground. They were all grouped up there. That's the power of having the gem, right? Even though you've got this this power to send a little bit of vision up towards the high ground, you're going to get rid of it immediately.
They should know their smoke. They just left that position with the twin gate to jump in. The Pursuer slide, Anchoret, he had an opportunity to pop the BKB. They were able to protect him long enough. The more over to the right side is a pretty decent Wukong's command, but they're also out of the ring. HYDRA having a difficult fight with being able to hold some members down for the moment. As it's up to Munkushi now to turn it around for one move, though. They're falling lower and lower. They're going to be able to find the Roar to hold Kami into place, but is it going to matter long enough as Munkushi? Sonic gives him a second round of the health pool, but he just gets blown up. A big boundless strike to take away his life, and now they get the Beastmaster as well, as Afterlife will go down. A triple kill for Cloud's Timber.
I mean, again, they just focus the right heroes, right? You take away a lot of that magic damage, and then suddenly Timbersaw's got free reign to just do anything that he wants in these fights. I mean, you basically have the BKB timer to be able to kill supports. It's pretty rare that that's what you're wanting to have the utility for, but I mean, they just recognize that this was a buyback as well. So Gilgear, he's going to be gone for a full minute, and that's the reasoning behind the tips as well. They're going to get the Frost Shield out, but as soon as they take this one, they've got lane pushed in, a very healthy number of creeps. They could even go for an aggressive flip here. They heal them up. I don't even need to use it. Yep. Plenty of creeps alive, and they're going to be able to get probably 2 lanes off the back of this. How long until meta's back up again?
It's Megas probably. I think do you want to stick around? I mean, you might just get more kills. Oh, at least he's got a buyback.
No
50 seconds without the meta.
I mean, that's the more important thing. It's really not worth the Lich buying back, but you have to, yeah.
Quite dead.
Honestly, is it worth just throwing out a Chain Frost just to keep them the hell out of your base? They're trying to make the back to protection kick in, just clearing out that bot lane, but the time it's active, have you lost Megas?
30 seconds. Clock is ticking down. Aincrad. Oh, he popped a BKB for this. I thought they were just poking. So now one move, they kind of have to commit off the back of this forced out, but as soon as it expires, Frostbite's going to be there.
What a great
full
Wukong.
Control. Oh, beautifully done. You saw the Crystal Maiden. He applied the Frostbite before the BKB expired. It meant that as soon as it was done, there was no escape. So they'll get the kill into the end, but they won't stick around to get more objective damage. But I know that Roche is still up for the taking.
I mean, there's only a range Rax left. Like, that's as good as Megas, essentially. Like you said, they've also got this Roche shard available for themselves. No way that it's going to not have been spawned. They know exactly where it is, and they can even just look to farm along the way. I like the fact that you mentioned that new interaction with the Frostbite, right? And you could use it with any sort of stun that's just going to last for quite some time, whether it be the Frostbite or a Scythe of Vice or something like that. Apply it towards the very end of that spell immunity. It's still going to do, you know, a tiny bit of damage, but it's the fact that you might catch someone out by surprise. I love using it on CM against these heroes like the Ember Spirit, like the Pango, for example, towards the end of the Rolling Thunder, and they actually just get caught in place and there's nothing that they can do. It's amazing.
Yeah, I still don't know how I feel about that mechanic. It's,
Power to the
I don't know.
supports, let's go.
yeah.
They got a lot of love in this last patch bit.
The supports?
Oh yeah. Double Wisdom Rune, you get stacking gold. De-warding gives you more gold as well. It's pretty significant.
Even just the extra range with the sentries, right?
Yep.
It's just a little thing with a bigger map, and what the sentry stock got reduced as well with the 7.33, right? So
That's right. Yeah. More money for actual items.
there you go, yeah. So yeah, a lot of love for the supports, and really it was the supports from HYDRA that enabled this early game. The Crystal Maiden, the techies, a lot of the stacks, a lot of the rotations is a big reason why they're about to potentially go high ground for the final time.
There's the last defense again. They're putting the Alchemist on the front, so they're making it as hard as possible for the supports to be the first ones taken out. Once again, going for that full-on wraparound, but it might take them too long. I mean, you've already lost... Oh, never mind. There is actually one Rax left. The melee Rax up on this top side, but again, the person that has the Aegis, the person that is incredibly tanky with all of those buffs applied to him...
Not a bad start.
Yeah.
The Chain Frost, if it can keep bouncing back and forth, it's done a decent chunk of the damage onto the supports. Mukushi's found an angle into the middle of the team fight as well. They're going to try and target down Warwick. They'll be able to bring him down. Mukushi, who does he want to turn to next now? But the Lord's going to enable the Terrorblade to start to get the damage into Kami. But this is an Alchemist that has the second life to work with. For the HYDRA, they're going to be able to look to reset around this. But they might try and bring Cloud down without them being able to get nearby to protect him. It's happy though. Off the back, the buyback, even a force stuff into the middle. Trying to get close to the Aincrad for the ultimate. We'll send him packing over to the left side, and looks like he's going to be okay for the moment. The remnants are all on cooldown though from Aincrad, so he's trying to get through the wall. Kami,
run!
Can he jump over? What? He can hit over it? Are you serious? That's supposed to be an impenetrable wall. You can't run through, but you can hit over it. And he remnants back and dies anyway to Lil.
He set up the mine right on the spot where the remnant was, so that even if he got away, he was going to be going down anyway. And well, I would expect to see a little bit more smiles, especially on Lil. You can see a bit of a smirk on his face, but it was a really solid performance from start to finish from HYDRA. I mentioned the fact that they've gone very heavy on the lane domination, and they did just that.
Yeah, without a doubt, we saw them have a gigantic net worth lead early on. There was a lot of action going off through lanes, and we saw how much space that was able to give over to the Alchemist as well. What was it, like a 11-minute Radiance timing, and we saw him get involved straight away when that Radiance was picked up as well.
Oh, for sure. They just made an absolute beeline towards the aggressive side of the map. You know, just play on Radiant's side of the map. Sure, there's more camps to farm, but we'll just take them instead. Make sure that you don't even have that bottom area of the map to be able to farm with. And I love the fact that HYDRA have this flowchart of how they want to play. It felt like with the previous patch, it was a little bit too regimented, but I think the teams that are doing better right now are the ones that have a really solid idea of how they want to play it. 6.5 minutes, move towards the enemy Wisdom Rune, especially now. Same sort of thing happened at 14 minutes. At 21, they didn't really care because they were getting that Roshan. So it's just, they know the timings incredibly well and they play around them amazingly. I'm really liking this HYDRA lineup.
Yeah, I am as well. And just a question of, can they continue on with this momentum? I wonder, heading into the next game, like we might see, you know, the Alchemists get banned out in the first. I mean, there's just so much you have to ban out, though. Maybe they've got to take it themselves, because I mean, Kami just had an incredible performance again. We know Cloud can play it as well on the off lane. So there's gonna have to be some changes though for the boys on One Move heading to the next game. Is there any that really stand out for you that you'd hope they're able to fix in the break?
Ember was kind of set up to be countered. I think Ankrad still did a pretty great job with the hand that he had dealt to him. Like, sure, he only barely lost the laning stage, right? But after that, he got a lot of farm. He was the only one that was really able to go in, and I thought he did his job fairly well. It was just that pretty much everything was on his shoulders and being able to set up for Mubkushi. So, I don't know, just give him something better, because this is a really skilled player.
Okay, well, we'll see if they're going to be able to do that for One Move in the next game. If Ankrad will be enabled, potentially that is what they need to be able to turn this over to a game 3. We'll find out after the break.